Hey y'all, it's Mitch. Got the Cybertruck here. We're at Hidden Falls Adventure Park, about an hour outside of Austin. It's got a lot of different trails, hard, easy, and we're gonna be taking this up some of the easier trails. This is never gonna be a hardcore rock crawler, but I think you can probably do overlanding pretty well. Front and rear lockers. I've got aftermarket disconnectable sway bars, which I'll show you how to disconnect those in a second. Pretty simple. Got a spare tire and traction boards, which I don't think we'll need. But let's see how this does. I've got stock tires, aired down to 36 PSI per the manual. Disconnectable front sway bars. So those have already been disconnected. You see that right there? So this should give me more articulation when I'm on the trail, but that's gonna be the big test. Now we do have a bypass up here for this first obstacle. So I'm gonna try this obstacle. It's pretty loose, got some fun steps. Let's see if we can make it up this. All right, now I come from owning Jeeps in the past. I had a Gladiator and a Wrangler Rubicon on 37s. So I'm not new when it comes to off-roading. I know what the capabilities are, and this Cybertruck is a big truck, not gonna lie. However, I did not think I was gonna be able to get up this. This is kind of a pretty big bowl. I'll turn the camera around for a second so you can see it. This is what the Cybertruck just got up. You can see there's quite a few big shelves that had to navigate up. Standing in kind of the bowl area, and from my feet about there, yeah, it's about waist level, higher than I thought it would be for a 3.5-star trail. I'm kind of surprised, but Cybertruck did well. I did have to put it in extract mode to get up and over that, otherwise I was sitting on the battery pack. And very high was keeping it around 13 inches. And then when I went to extract, it gave me an extra 1.5 inches. I think it was at like 14.7. It kind of goes up and down. I know it says online that it wants to be 15, but kind of struggles with getting there. So the next little obstacle that I had to get up was right here. These are pretty big boulders, you know, for stock tires. Everything's stock on this except for the disconnectable sway bar. It got up pretty easy. However, I did slide a little bit. These aren't the best tires, so I slid a little bit, and I'll show you the damage that I got. So part of my objective today is figure out exactly what part I need next to make this more capable in exploring. I think I found my answer. took a rock to the side. Ouchie, ouchie. So, rock rails. Expensive, but necessary. Let's keep going. So, made it to the top of the trail and back. I have been getting warnings that the suspension is hot and it can't raise the suspension any further, but it is staying at over 14 inches of ground clearance. So, I guess things are okay. I wouldn't love that. But I will say that the battery temp and the motor temps have all been very low, not even close to getting into anything that's red. Unlike when I had my R1T Rivian, the motors would get excruciatingly hot. Also, the Rivian didn't have lockers, and there's a lot of people on the internet that will argue day and night about how it's got a motor on each wheel, you don't need lockers, and people will die on that hill. I will tell you from firsthand, real experience, I could not have made it up any of these trails in the Rivian R1T. I tried in the past with my old one. It wasn't a launch edition, but it was one of the earlier quads. And man, that machine was super problematic. And anytime I came to a square edge bump, something like a curb, it just would not roll over it. The engine temperatures would get really hot and it just wouldn't roll over anything. This, with front and rear lockers, I got up some grades and some off camber and some just super loose little faces. All of it didn't get filmed, but I was really impressed by how it handled. Now, with that being said, because of the additional traction, it does give you a false confidence. I will take this into Tesla to see what they say about the damage. I did get high centered twice. Extract worked. I got out of the situations that I was in with extract mode, thank goodness. However, there was twice I slammed down on the battery pack pretty hard. I don't have additional undercarriage armor, so that might be something to look into. I will go see, when I take this in for service, I'll see what Tesla says, if I made any real damage or if it's just aesthetic. Aesthetic I'm fine with, but if I hurt the battery pack because I got high centered on something, I'm gonna say this is a hard no-go for any sort of true off-roading. And therefore, what good are the lockers if you can't actually send it? So that's kind of where I sit right now. I'm pretty impressed with how the truck handled today. I got up more difficult terrain than I really ever thought that I would be able to. However, that came at maybe a price, so we'll see. Thanks. So I did take the Cybertruck into Tesla, and they confirmed that there's no damage to the battery pack, so it's great news. However, they would not install the OEM new armor for the bottom. They would install that because of the dent, which was curious. They wanted to charge me $15,000 to replace the battery pack, which had undented, smooth bottom surface that you could install the armor to. So a little frustrating, but I have another company that's willing to send me theirs. It's a little bit more expensive, but that's all right. And I also am going to add rock sliders for the side, because that protection was obviously needed, as we saw earlier. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope this helps you in your Cybertruck journey.